Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny, and as always, I thank you very much for choosing to spend some time with me. I also thank you all for making my last week's video so very popular. It was a very pleasant and unexpected surprise. So to everybody who watched, liked, shared, commented, all of that stuff, thank you very, very much. It really does help my channel when you guys do that, and I really appreciate it. Also, I owe Christine a big thank you because yesterday or the day before in the mail I received a copy of Diane Ericson's Cloud Coat, which Christine, I'm happy to know I'm not the only person who does this. Christine actually bought this even though she already had it, so she sent me her extra copy. And this is a pattern I do not have, but I have wanted to make this ever since it came out, probably, gosh, 2 or 3 years ago now. So yeah, thank you, Christine. That was a really nice surprise. I will definitely work on that, not anytime soon because it is way too hot to be thinking about coats, but for the fall, that will definitely be on my to-do list. And speaking of that, if any of you guys have made the Diane Ericson Cloud Coat, let me know in the comments what your experience was. I always find it helpful to know how other people did with the pattern before I dig in. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Okay, last week I was talking about a bunch of different indie designers that I had never tried. A lot of you said that you had tried Tropical Research patterns and you had had really good success with them. So this week I made the Tropical Research, it's called the T-Shirt Tunic. I'll show you pictures of it here. I cut this in a size medium. I made absolutely no alterations to it. This is made in a 100% linen from, that is from, what's it called? Mart fabrics. Yeah, I really, really like this top. Obviously I made the short version, but you can make it in, I think there are 3 different lengths in that pattern. I chose to make a facing for mine, but of course you can also do a binding at the neck. I love the pattern. I thought it was drafted really well. I thought the sizing was spot on. I really like this top, and I'm definitely going to be making another one. I will probably also be making it in a longer version. In this picture, you can see me wearing it with a pair of matching pants, which is not something I really do. But those are the Fremantle pants from Elbe Textiles that I was working on a week ago or so. This is the updated version of the Fremantle pant, and so this would be the 3rd time I've made this pant. The first 2 times I was not thrilled with the pant, and the first time it was in a cotton chambray. The second time I made it in a really disgusting 100% polyester crepe, so it was no surprise that I didn't like those. The first one I wasn't sure what I didn't like about it, but it just wasn't. I was kind of like, huh, they're okay. This version, the updated version, they took out some extra ease in the hips and in the thighs. So I was a little worried that maybe it would just be too small, but I cut the exact same size that I cut from the original pattern, and I really love these pants. I made them, this is, I don't know, the 9th or 10th or something. I've had them finished for a week. And I've worn them twice, and I really love them. I'm definitely going to make these again. The reason that I have a matching set, which is something I literally never, ever, ever wear. I know some people like it. Looks like a jumpsuit or something. I really don't like that look, so I just don't ever do it. Anyways, I bought this fabric to make these pants. And once I had the pants finished, I think I bought 2.5 yards, which is, to be fair, I knew it was more fabric than I really needed. But when I was finished, I actually had enough to cut out this Tropical Research, what's it called again? T-shirt tunic. I don't know why I can't remember that. It's the easiest name. So yeah, so that's why I have a matching set, although I won't be wearing them together probably. Okay, the other thing is what I'm wearing today, which is this, once again, this is my Matchy Collage Gather Dress. I made this a couple of weeks ago in a cobalt blue linen. with a split front. This one is specifically, I did this boat neckline specifically for Jen, who asked for a tutorial on doing a boat neckline on this pattern. I do have a quick tutorial for you right here. I will show you in just a second. Jen's biggest question was, because there are these seams right here, whether or not it would be difficult to make this into a boat neckline. It really wasn't. However, I want to say this pattern is originally made to have a bias binding on the neck, and because you have a seam here and a seam here, if you choose to do a bias binding, you're just be aware, you can still do it for sure. Just be aware that you're going to get a little bulky where these seams are. So just be aware of that. You may need to cut some of the fabric down or whatever. For that reason, I chose to do a facing again, although I had originally thought I was going to do this one with a bias binding. The other thing is for a boat neck, in the Tobias Conrad shirt, I don't know if you can see, the neckline is a teeny bit wide, and in fact, maybe even on this one, is a teeny bit wide. I don't like a boat neck to go further than my bra straps because I don't want them to show. However, you can see that this actually almost looks more like, I don't know, it's maybe not quite a boat neckline. If it was open a little bit more, say a ½ inch on either side, I think it would get more of that boat look to it. So keep that in mind as I'm doing the tutorial. I think the, here I can tell you really quickly. I say in the tutorial the distance from my center front to my bra strap is 6 inches. So I used that for the width of my boat neckline. I might have preferred, looking at it now, I think I would have preferred it to be another ½ inch or even an inch on either side. So just be aware of that if you're choosing to do this. The other thing is, if you're having a hard time figuring out like center, it's not really, obviously it's not that difficult. If you just take a tape measure and measure between your bra straps from one to the other, divide that by 2, that should give you your, minus 12 inches, divided by 2 is 6. That's how wide I made it. Anyways, sorry, I'm rambling on. Let's just go to the tutorial and I'll come back and talk to you in a minute. Okay, you can see I have copied my pattern pieces here. Sorry, they're rolling around. This is the center front and this is the side front. I've marked off my seam allowances and I'm actually just going to get rid of those. So we're going to trim those off. Be sure you preserve your notch mark because you're going to need that to match your pattern pieces up. Now we're just going to tape these together. Now, for me, I know that my bra strap sits at about 6 inches away from my center front. So I don't want my boat neckline to go any wider than that. So let's say if I do this at 5 inches and I have a ½ inch or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, I should still be far enough away from my 6 inches. So that's what I'm going to go with, is 5 inches. Which puts me exactly at this seam line right here. So I don't have to mark anything. I know that's my 5 inches. And then, where's my piece of paper? I'm going to stick this under here because we need to add some paper for our neckline. Okay, so my shoulder seam, this center seam right here, is 5 inches. So I'm going to use that. That might be a little too wide. It probably could be 4.5, taking it over to 5 for a finished width, but I think I'm going to leave it at 5 and 5.5 inches for now. So this is my center front line. I'm just going to extend this up. And this is the top of my, you won't be able to see it on here, but that line right there is the top of my shoulder. Okay, so this is my 5 inches right here. I know just from looking at other patterns, most boat necks are going to be about 3 inches down from the neckline. I don't recommend doing much less than that. The closer you can do any depth that you want. It's just going to be closer and closer to your neckline. Obviously, I'm going to go with 3 inches because I already know that that's comfortable. So let's say, let's go 2.5. So 1, 2.5. We'll go right here with 2.5. Okay, and we want that to be a straight line for about 1/2 inch. Then we're going to match this line that we just drew up with this corner right here in some sort of a nice arc, and that actually looks really good right there, just like that. Okay, you can see that in this case it's not really going to affect the sleeve very much, except possibly like in the seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and you will see what I mean. Okay, so this is what your new neckline is going to look like. And all you're going to do now is open this up, add your seam allowances back to each of the pieces here, and add your seam allowances at your shoulder and around your neckline. Now, the one thing you want to do is, if you're binding this with bias binding, then you're fine, go ahead. If you're not binding this with bias binding, you might as well go ahead and make your facing right now. And I think I said last time I was making facings at 2.5 inches. So 2 inches plus a seam allowance. So this one doesn't have a seam allowance yet. So it's going to be here. So this would be your neck facing piece. If you're going to use a facing, you're going to trace that out like that. And then add your seam allowance to the neckline of your facing piece and your shoulders also. Just remember that none of these pieces, these don't have any seam allowances, so you're going to need to add those, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's get this cut apart and see what it looks like. I'm going to trace my facing off first. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this apart. And you can see pretty clearly where you're going to need to add your seam allowances. Right here, and on your neckline, okay? Now you're going to want to do that exact same thing to the back pieces. And for me, I think a boat neck, the back neckline of a boat neck can be exactly the same as the front. I don't think it needs to be higher or lower. A boat neckline is pretty high anyway, so I don't think you want to make the back neckline any higher. And I certainly, yeah, I think it's fine just to make it exactly the same. Alright guys, so that is how I created this version of the boat neck. I hope you guys find that helpful. I cannot say enough good things about this dress. I think it's extremely versatile. In these pictures, you guys can see, I actually made it the longer version. Remember, and when I made it in the cobalt version, I said that I felt a little bit like Friar Tuck when it was too long, so I cut it shorter. This fabric that I used is a cotton voile from... I'm having a hard time with the names today. Latoff Fabrics out in California. And I can't remember when I bought this fabric, but I've had it for a while. I love this fabric, and I think it was really perfect for this dress. I'm glad that I made it longer. This is like the perfect summer dress, in my opinion. What else do I have to say? I think that's about it. I did buy a couple more of the patterns that I talked about last week. One of which was the Vivian Shao Chen Lawrence top, and I will be working on that and giving you guys a quick review next week. Alright guys, that is it for me this week. Thank you so much for stopping by, and until next week, Happy sewing.